Get ready. Play ball.
Smash Bros and PlayStation All-Stars rely on their well-known rosters of characters to draw people in and then have fun abilities and challenges to keep people playing. Lethal League doesn't have that kind of history behind it, but it manages to pull off a heavily stylized game with a new take on the brawling genre. Other indie brawlers like Towerfall and Samurai Gun have hit the mark and found a place in my things I can beat my friends at list, and I think people are going to love this one too. This isn't a standard brawler because you can't hit each other directly. You have to hit the ball into opponents to knock them out. Unlike Smash, there are only 2 hit buttons, but you can do a variety of things with them. For example, if you're in the air, you can smash it downwards to increase its speed even more than a normal hit. It's also possible to bunt the ball, which means slowing it down to a crawl and sending it into the air harmlessly. From there, it's possible to hit it back to its previous speed with a shorter cooldown to take people off guard. Cooldowns are a big part of the game later in rounds. When you get past a certain speed, each thwack pauses the ball and the person who hit it. This is essential because when the ball is released, it's going so fast that it's impossible to keep track of it. That's where this handy timer comes in. At the bottom here is a scale which times up until the ball is released, and you have to time your button press for the returning hit, otherwise it's over. Lethal League's speed mechanic is designed specifically to build up hype. As the ball gets faster, a powerful combination of bassy sounds and screen effects get added in. After every successful hit, you and your friends will let off an "oh" like a group of howler monkeys. This gradually gets more epic as the ball gets faster. The stage warps into something new, either wrecked and broken or an apocalyptic looking version of itself, as waves of inverted colour spread over the screen with each hit. This doesn't happen every round, and it's why it always has the hype effect. At lower speeds, the game is about trying to outmaneuver your opponent, but when the ball pause kicks in, it turns into a game of timing and positioning. This is what makes the game great, and it's why it stands out among brawlers and fighting games. Single player is catered for as well. There are bots that you can set the skill level of in a normal game. Challenge mode is also there for a Smash Bros style sequence of fights in different modes and increasing difficulty. It expects a lot of you as a fresh player. You will fail a lot in early levels, but it's good training before letting loose against your friends. I have heard that there is a cool end boss to fight, but honestly I can't get past the fight against 2 Candymen. I love it when games create a silly reason for all these highly skilled characters to all be in one place and then take it seriously. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh! When the fate of the universe is decided by a children's card game. The game takes baseball and adds mutants and robots and superpowers and house music to it. There are bits of flavor text outside of the game to explain this, and honestly, the story isn't required to have a good time, but it would be cool if there was a little bit of the story in the actual game. Fortunately, the aesthetic of the game gives enough context so that you don't have to ask those questions. Each character comes with their own stage and theme. Although there are only 5 of them, that is enough for them all to feel unique. On screen they all have different silhouettes and are nicely characterised with some awesome pixel art and voice acting. They all have a different ability, ways of moving and hitting angles, so competitive players do have an extra level of tactics to think about, while us normal people can ignore that and play a game with friends without being intimidated by too much depth. The screen can get very visually noisy at times, and keeping track of both the ball and your character is the hardest part with all the effects going off around you. Long-term variety is the biggest visible problem. All of the levels are different sized boxes, and while that might make a difference at a competitive level, everyone else is just going to go for their favourite looking level because they all seem the same. I can tell that obstacles and wraparound areas and things like that could get in the way, especially when predicting the bounce angle off of more than 2 walls melts my brain. The characters are all different enough that I've already picked out Candyman and his theme tune as my favourite, but hopefully more will be added post-release. The most disappointing omission is that multiplayer battles only have free-for-all and team modes, which is a great start, but even the single-player challenge has a mode where you get points for kills instead of losing lives. Online matchmaking is an essential with this kind of game. While it's best to have your mates next to you so you can grab their controller and get them killed, they won't always be able to come around. It integrates nicely with Steam so that you can invite friends in easily. Unfortunately, in the few online games I was able to get going, there was a single crash, and a couple of players got dropped from a game.
Uh-oh. Oh no! Not when I was winning!
The GGPO networking means that sometimes the game will pause so that everyone can catch up. This system is also used by Skullgirls and Divekick, so if you're familiar with those, it works in a similar way. These pauses get more noticeable the more latency you have, and unfortunately I live in an area with a rather slow internet connection, so it can be quite common. This is because there are no servers involved, it's peer-to-peer, so if you've got rubbish internet, then expect lag. Lethal League is really good fun, and even though it might not be able to compete directly with Smash Bros, it certainly has the style and gameplay to be enjoyed by Smash fans alongside it. I'm interested to see what happens with the competitive scene in the future. If you're still unsure about the game, go to the link in the description to try out their prototype version of Lethal League for free. The game releases on Steam for PC for $13.99. Thank you everybody for watching. If you have any questions or comments about the game, please leave them down below so we can chat about it. If you have enjoyed my video, then give it a thumbs up, and if you want to discover more beautiful, weird, free or wonderful indie games, then subscribe for daily videos. Until next time, goodbye!
Damn it!